Hello, BookTube. Welcome back to the History Shelf. I am your host, Peg. Today we have a lovely video, I think. We've got some new history titles from our good friends at Casemate Publishing. A wonderful assortment has come in the mail over the last couple of weeks. You know, I like to save them up for you, give you a bunch at once. So hopefully this video shouldn't be more than, I don't know. Well, you know, we like to start chit-chatting. Chit-chatting. I like to chit-chat. Yeah, these books are all from Casemate. They're brand new. Some of these are wonderful. A couple of these are like great for gift ideas. Christmas is coming up, and I'm looking at a couple of them, and I know a couple people that would really like these, and I like them, so might have to buy a couple more. Anyway, guys, let me just start off by saying, check this out. Now, I am not an LA Rams fan, but Martine surprised me today with this awesome jersey. And why did she do that? Well, because it's a piece of thread there. I typically don't buy gear around one player, but there's a player I've followed for years and I love him, and he's from my original team, and I'm still rooting for my team, Detroit Lions. But I am rooting now for this guy. He deserves it. Number 9. Who is it? Who is it? Yeah. Woo! Matt Stafford, all the way. We watched him play last Sunday. 3 touchdowns. He's got a beautiful family. I love Matt Stafford. I just love him. So she picked me up this jersey. I've never been to California, well, except for a conference for work, but never been to LA. But it's all about Stafford. So, plus it's a really good color on me. So I was like, hey, I'll take it. She got me some socks too. I put them in my room, but they're really cool. It says Matt Stafford on there. Okay, so a little fangirl moment there. Well, let's get into the Casemate books, guys. I'll start with the two like coffee table size books. This is beautiful, and they sent this to me. Wasn't even aware of it. Thank you, Daniel at Casemate Publishers. He is my connection there, and he's always keeping an eye out for things that I and my viewers would like. So check this out. This is beautiful. This is the Mighty Eighth, a glimpse of the men, missions, and machines of the U.S. 8th Air Force, 1942 to 45. It's part of the Military Gallery commemorative collection. So as you can see, it's just a big, oversized type of book. It has a nice little description of the other books that they have in the series, the commemorative book collection. They have Overlord. Ooh, I think I might like that one. The Dam Busters and Their Finest Hour. So that is outstanding. This is a new release. And I'm going to try to hold this up for you and still get into the microphone, but wonderful artwork just throughout, you guys. Nice chapters that are very quick and easy to read, but look at this. It's just beautiful. Beautiful. Got different chapters on Mustangs, bomb groups of the 8th, fighter groups of the 8th, special groups and support units. And like here's a chapter on tactical support. It's just a very interesting sized book, you know, how it kind of just nice and like long and horizontal, kind of a narrow book. We've got D-Day and the 8th and what the 8th Air Force was doing. Got some maps in there. So this is just gorgeous. So I might check out some of the other ones in the series. And I think I know someone on my Christmas shopping list that would really enjoy something like this. If you know of any like aviation enthusiasts or just World War II, if you're into the Air Force element, aerial combat element of World War II, this is something to check out, and this is definitely something you'd want to have out on your coffee table or somewhere prominent. It's definitely gift worthy. Yeah, And as always, I'll include their link below. I know my friend Ben at the History Fella would probably really like that one. Another book that was sent to me was not aware of it, and I just kind of made that shrieking noise. I was like, "Ooh!" So excited to see this, and I can't wait to read it. I've got a few deadlines that I'm slowly making my way through my list of things. I've knocked off a bunch of different reviews. I got a few more to go, but after the 21st, I can breathe a little more, and I definitely want to dip my little toesies in this. But look at this, another big oversized book. Oh, this is awesome. Red Army Into the Reich by Simon Forty, Patrick Cook, and Nick Cornish. So, nice big kind of oversized book, richly illustrated. Let's see here. So I'll read you on the back here. It says, from Warsaw to Vienna, Bucharest to Berlin, the battles in Eastern Europe in 1944 to 45 overshadowed the fighting in the West in size and scope. With over 600 illustrations, including 50 maps and diagrams, Red Army Into the Reich covers the fighting in Finland, Norway, the Baltic states, Poland, Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary, the Balkans, Czechoslovakia, Austria, and Germany over the last tumultuous months of World War II in Europe. I was looking through this yesterday and was just amazed at it's chock full of good stuff. Let's see, get some chapters in here. Chapter on partisan warfare. But it's just a beautiful coffee table size book. Nice introduction here. And in World War II, the fighting on the Eastern Front, again, it was overlooked a lot of times by, like they say here, like Normandy and Battle of the Bulge and all that kind of stuff. But, Russia really, or at the time Soviet Union, millions of their men died trying to take out the Nazis. And this is all about their fight as they got closer to... Ooh, look at these photographs as they got closer to Berlin. Look at these big, oversized. Oh, I love it. So I'm really excited. I think I'm going to be reading this sooner as opposed to later. Just fantastic. I can't tell you enough how I love this book. I'm just so excited. So this is brand new release. So if you guys want to check that out on Amazon or go to the site, the Casemate site, I just love how they do military history there. People who write military history at Casemate and history in general, these are people who are really close to the topics. A lot of times they're just, either ex service people or just people who have just very deep in deep roots in the military community, and they know what they speak. It really gets into the technical stuff more than anything else, and you just really get to the facts of the matter when it comes to battles and campaigns and strategies. And there's not so much a partisan angle as in some surveys of wars. They just kind of stick to what happened, and they look at it through a military lens, a soldiering or a warrior lens, if you will. So I really enjoy Casemate books. So those are the two that are oversized, and then we kind of, which are also I make good gifts. But let's move on to some of these others that I have here. And these are all brand new history releases. And in fact, I just received, and so I kind of held on to these for a couple weeks, excuse me. But as I was kind of just so busy, I wasn't able to really make videos. And I still have a whole backlog of videos I need to make, but so these have come in over the last couple weeks or so, or more, and just got another couple of boxes, 3 or 4 boxes from Casemate. Thank you, Daniel. You are just keeping me rolling in clover over here, and I can't wait to see what are in those. So that'll be we'll have another Casemate video coming soon, so never fear. So this book is called Spies on the Mekong, CIA Clandestine Operations in Laos by Ken Conboy. Convoy, you know, that was a movie from the 70s. It was Convoy, but anyway. Okay, I live in my head sometimes. So, Spies on the Mekong. Let me give you a little, we got 10 minutes already. During the Cold War, the Central Intelligence Agency's largest and longest-running paramilitary operation was in the tiny Southeast Asian kingdom of Laos. Hundreds of their advisors and support personnel trained and led guerrilla formations across the mountainous Laotian countryside and ran smaller road watch and agent teams that stretched from the Ho Chi Minh Trail to the Chinese frontier. But for the foreign intelligence officers of the CIA, Laos was more than a paramilitary battleground. Because of its geographic location as a buffer state, as well as its trifurcated political structure, Laos was a unique Cold War melting pot. All three of the Lao political factions, including the communist Pathet Lao, had representation in Vientiane. Okay, the Soviet Union had an extremely active embassy in the capital, while the People's Republic of China, though in the throes of the Cultural Revolution, had multiple diplomatic outposts across the kingdom. So too did both North and South Vietnam, all of which made for fertile ground for clandestine operations. This book, for the first time, details the cloak and dagger side of the war in Laos. From agent recruitments to servicing dead drops in Vientiane, Spies on the Mekong sheds light on the CIA's most sensitive clandestine operations that took place in the shadowy corners of the land of a million elephants. I did not know that that was another name, or people called Laos the land of a million elephants. This is so cool because it goes right into my, recent glut of books where I've just been enjoying. I've just been loving like the clandestine operations, espionage, spy stuff, CIA, black ops, and special operations. I've just been getting really into that. There was a car out there squeaking. Sorry, that's why I made that face. I was like, "What is that?" So, Spies on the Mekong by Ken Convoy. That's going to be awesome. And you can see on the cover, there's the elephants, so that makes sense. Okay. So check that one out if you're interested. Ooh, and this one definitely, this looks great. Yeah, then we go back to World War II. We have Men of Armor. Sorry about the lamp. The History of B Company, 756th Tank Battalion in World War II by Jeff Danby. Okay, so I'm not sure how many parts this will be, but this is part 1, Beginnings, North Africa, and Italy. So let me see if on the back it tells you, is this going to be a duology or a duology, whatever. Don't correct me. It's a trilogy, I don't know. But it's basically World War II told from the unique perspective of the American tanker. I've always been intrigued by the tanks and that I could never get in one. Sometimes I can have claustrophobia in certain situations. Elevators don't bother me, but I can hyperventilate if I'm like watching people spelunking in a cave and they are crawling and there's miles of rock above them and they are inching their way like an earthworm through a little opening. Oh my God, I start to have a panic attack just watching that. So like that extreme type of claustrophobia, but a tank I would imagine is the same, especially knowing that if another tank, has just a dead-on shot right on you, you're going to die horribly or burning. Just that and submarines. So those are the two that have really freaked me out. Like, in wartime, I've tried to put myself in those positions in my mind. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know how, I don't think I would handle that very well. But, it takes a certain type of person, a lot of bravery to get in there. But all right, so let me give you a little overview here. Let's see. The 756th Tank Battalion Light was activated at Fort Lewis, Washington State on June 1st, 1941, as part of a new, ambitious, and rapidly expanding U.S. Armored Force. B Company was one of 3 tank companies forming this new independent tank battalion. At the time, American tanks were so scarce, the crews field trained for several months by carrying around wooden frames as surrogates. Eventually, the outfit was equipped with M3 lights, then M5 lights, before upgrading to the M4 Sherman medium tanks. Oh, yes. An American tank company in World War II consisted of only 5 officers and approximately 100 enlisted men, all living, traveling, and fighting in 17 tanks, 2 jeeps, 1 truck, 1 half-track, and 1 tank retriever. This is the first volume. Okay, so the first volume of a unique history covering the full spectrum of experiences of the men in one company, B Company of the 756th Tank Battalion, from inception in June 41 through the occupation of Germany in 45. Uniting the official record with the rich personal accounts of the participants, the reader is swept along a highly detailed and shocking journey chronicling the evolution of American armor doctrine and tank design throughout the war. Oh, this is interesting. I'll just read a little bit more. The B Company tankers often fought at a disadvantage, struggling to survive a myriad of battlefield challenges and triumph against enemy armor better armed and better protected. What was once envisioned as a warfare of sweeping armored formations managed by West Point lieutenant colonels and ROTC captains quickly devolved into small unit street fights, relying more and more on the initiative, resourcefulness, and cunning of lowly OCS lieutenants and combat-seasoned sergeants. The journey is long, unforgiving, and brutal. 47 fellow tankers will be lost along the way. So that is Men of Armor by Jeff Danby, Part 1. So I'll be intrigued to see where Part 2 is going to take us, probably obviously back into France. So here we go, France and Germany. All right, what else do we get here? Got some good stuff. Got some books on, like, let's go back to intelligence. Oh, yes, I forgot. This will kind of go well with the book I recently got on my last haul, which was the Naval Institute clearance sale, Paul, about the Easter offensive in Vietnam. I picked up a book on that. Well, this will make a really good companion. This is Breaking the Chain, Intelligence Ignored, Military Intelligence in Vietnam, and Why the Easter Offensive Should Have Turned Out Differently. Okay, so I really need to have those 2 books together when I'm reading one. I need to have the other handy. This is the perspective of the only trained U.S. Army intelligence analyst in First Corps in 1972 by W.R. Bob Baker. Fabulous. So let me give you a little bit on that. Ooh, my God. And papers are in fuego. Look at that. Oh, that is detailed. Both the Battle of the Bulge and Operation Market Garden have often been cited as intelligence failures. However, both were, in fact, examples of senior commanders failing to take heed of the available intelligence. This book convincingly argues that the Easter Offensive of 1972 should be added to this list. Following Operation Lam Son 719 in 1971, the North Vietnamese Army began a transition from infantry to mechanized infantry, and later that year, preparations to invade South Vietnam began to coalesce in Hanoi. When a full-scale offensive didn't unfold at Tet as anticipated, many senior U.S. commanders left Vietnam for the Easter holidays. Okay, and so in doing so, they chose to ignore the intelligence they were being sent by the only functioning intelligence unit left in the area near the DMZ, the 571st Military Intelligence Detachment. The North Vietnamese had merely delayed their plans for a major offensive. An infantry division and 2 independent regiments had already entered South Vietnam in March 1972, taking up positions west of Hue. The 571st MID knew who else was coming, who commanded them, and had deduced their initial objectives. They raised the alarm, but their warnings fell on deaf ears. So this is the story of the Easter Offensive of 1972, the 571st Military Intelligence Detachment, and how the success of the offensive was directly related to the fact that American commanders disregarded intelligence provided up the chain. All right. So if that is true, that is a damning indictment. Bob Baker, W.R. Bob Baker. Let me see, we got some good kind of infield maps here. I love these hand-drawn maps and stuff. He's got a nice appendix. He's got after action reports and the actual handwriting. All right. Even includes top secret documents, photocopy. Wow, all right. Yeah, a lot of appendices in here. So the book is like, without the appendices, it's roughly about 200 pages. But Breaking the Chain, Intelligence Ignored by Bob Baker. All right. Now this is interesting. I wonder if I can apply this to my own. Let me get my pub sheets out. Men of Armor, got that. And then we have, all right. This applies to military, business, and civilian life. This is like, kind of like, yeah, it's like a leadership workbook, but how cool is that? This is called Leadership Rising by John Antal. It says here it's an accessible guide to developing leadership skills in military, business, and civilian life. And it allows readers to learn from an Army officer with over 30 years experience. Okay. Let's see here. Read to lead. As it said, Leadership Rising empowers both the emerging and experienced leader to improve their leadership awareness. Accessible and concise with practical exercises throughout, this book enables leaders to identify, gauge, and develop methods to improve their skills. I'm going to just read this and apply it to my own. You know, I'm a copywriter. That's my job, my vocation, my career. But I can apply it to, you know, just how you can lead from wherever you are. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure many of you have heard that before, but it's like a little section for workbooks, my top strengths, my legacy, purpose statement. So, so thank you for that. I will take a look and see how I can, you know, maybe if there's something in here, a few chapters that might actually apply to what I kind of do. I'm not like leading, you know, troops into battle, but again, it's also for business and civilian life in general. I like how Casemate's kind of, you know, diversifying their portfolio, as it were. They're going really strong now on their fiction. They've got fiction now, and speaking of which, I've got some fiction to show you. And now they've got stuff for like professional development and leadership skills, so that's awesome. So I'm really excited for this because this is like one of my favorite areas in history, and it's historical fiction. And you know I love my Civil War, and this is from their fiction line, and this is Hold at All Hazards. Bugles Battery at Gettysburg, July 2nd, 1863 by David H. Jones. All right, so let me read this to you. When appointed to take command of an inadequately trained and poorly disciplined battery in early 1863, Captain John Bigelow knows he faces a challenge. The 9th Massachusetts Battery of Light Artillery has never left Washington's defenses, and it shows. Bigelow's strict discipline and rigorous training regime. That should say regimen. It says regime. Regimen are not appreciated by all the men. One of his early opponents within the battery is Chief Bugler Charles Wellington Reed. Nevertheless, Bigelow's methods get results, and Reed slowly gains respect for the new captain, although subtle conflict between them remains. In late June, the battery is collected by the Army of the... Let me start this again. I need to sip something. In late June, the battery is collected by the Army of the Potomac as it moves to thwart an invasion by Robert E. Lee's Army of Northern Virginia. After days of hard marching, Bigelow's battery arrives on the Gettysburg battlefield in the forenoon of July 2nd. Within hours, they are immersed in their first ever battle. I apologize for my reading. First of all, it's getting really hot in here because I have the door shut. Within hours, they are immersed in their first ever battle. The officers and men of the battery fight like veterans against the Confederates. As the furious fighting reaches a crescendo, the inexperienced battery is ordered to hold its position at all hazards until it is overrun. Without hesitation, the batterymen stand to their guns and sacrifice their lives to gain the time necessary for a second line of artillery to be formed behind them, helping to prevent a disastrous defeat for the Federal Army on Northern soil. During their last stand, Charles Reed saves Bigelow's life and is later awarded the Medal of Honor. So I guess there's no spoiler alerts in this book. Hold at All Hazards, based on real people and events, reveals just how critical to Federal victory was the fortitude of those artillerymen and the brilliant leadership of their commanders. Gettysburg was won by many extraordinary acts of valor, but the acts of the men of Bigelow's Battery stand high among the most worthy and conspicuous. David H. Jones is a former U.S. Navy officer and business executive born in West Virginia and always engrossed in the study of American history. Ooh. He is the author of the award-winning novel Two Brothers, One North, One South. I did not know that was an award winner. I'm going to have to check that out. Yeah. Okay. So, this sounds familiar. In all my readings on the multitude of Civil War battles, I think I remember reading, maybe it was an article in like a Civil War magazine, talked about this battery that pretty much was over. It was overrun, but they just kept shooting into the face of those Confederates as they kept coming, and they did buy time for the artillerymen behind them to set up. So I'm really stoked to read this. As far as Civil War fiction goes, I've been primarily, I guess recently, Ralph Peters is outstanding. If you want great Civil War historical fiction, you need to check out Ralph Peters' books. I've read a couple of Jeff Shara's. The most recent one of Shara's I read was the Korean War one, the Frozen Hours, which was outstanding. I really enjoyed that one. But I'm always looking to find new Civil War historical fiction, new writers. And we have one right here, David H. Jones. So I will report back once I read that and see if we're going to add that to the list of fantastic Civil War fiction. Okay, and so there's the next book I got from Casemate is part of a series which I'm intrigued by. It's called Leadership in Action, and they highlight several different men from different, or women. I don't think they've done a woman yet, but obviously women haven't been in combat, but they, maybe they'll do something later on, like a woman pilot or something. Who knows? But this one is about, and I'll share with you some of the others that they already have in print. I think I might have asked for another one that might be coming. But this one's about Hal Moore. And as we were soldiers, this is about him. So as you can see, this series is called Leadership in Action. This is Hal Moore, A Soldier Once and Always, by Mike Gardia. Nice little paperback, nice slim volume here. Hal Moore, one of the most admired American combat leaders of the last 50 years, has granted full access to his files and collection of letters, documents, and never-before-published photographs. That's cool. In this first ever fully illustrated biography, we finally learn the full story of one of America's true military heroes. He is best known to the public for being portrayed by Mel Gibson in the movie We Were Soldiers. A 1945 graduate of West Point, Moore's first combats occurred during the Korean War, where he fought in the battles of Old Baldy, T-Bone, and Pork Chop Hill. At the beginning of the Vietnam War, Moore commanded the 1st Battalion of the 7th Cavalry in the first full-fledged battle between U.S. and North Vietnamese regulars. Drastically outnumbered and nearly overrun, Moore led from the front, and though losing 79 soldiers, claimed the lives of over 1,200 enemy soldiers before the Communists withdrew. He later wrote of his experiences in the best-selling book, We Were Soldiers Once and Young. He assumed command of the 7th Infantry Division, forward stationed in South Korea, and in 1971 he took command of the Army Training Center at Fort Ord, California. In this capacity, he oversaw the U.S. Army's transition from a conscript-based to an all-volunteer force. In 1977, Moore retired as a lieutenant general. So that's cool. A very slim biography on Hal Moore. Never before published photos. Kind of excited about that. I really liked that movie, and I liked how studious, Halmore was like depicted in there. He was reading his books, reading his military history, reading about his enemy, and he had respect for his enemy. And I think there was a follow-up book that came on later. That came later on, after much later than We Were Soldiers Once and Young, where he goes back to Vietnam and actually meets with the general that was on the opposite side, that was opposed to him at that one battle. Depicted was it the Ia Drang, the Battle of the Ia Drang, the Drang, something like that, and met with him, and it was just a lot of old soldiers talking, and geez, even though they were on opposite sides, they had great respect for one another. So, I think there might be a picture in here of that. There might be. Yeah. Well, wasn't he, he wrote that one. Joe Galloway was the reporter at the time. He was in the battle with him. I think he also wrote something. But this is Hal Moore. And so the Leadership in Action series, there was a couple of other ones in the series, and I can't see it listed here. Then you've got some other guys that they cover, which looks kind of cool. Oh, let's go back to the fiction line. Okay, so if you can see, the fiction line kind of has a similar look and feel. They're kind of packaging them the same way. It's type of different. You've got like a green border on the sides. These are like the little things about bookish stuff that I just geek out on. You can tell they're like branding that. And I've shown you a couple of the other World War II novels that they've sent. I haven't got to yet, but I will. But there's another fiction item here, and this one is also, I think, World War... No. Yes. Wait. What is this? Okay, no, it is. It's the end of World War II. This is called There Was a Time by George H. Whitman. There was a time, as you can see. The branding, all that kind of stuff. It's very cool. I like how they're branching out into and publishing more fiction. So it says here, it is the summer of 1945, the last and very dangerous days of World War II. The United States is working closely with the Viet Minh against the Japanese, and a team of hand-picked special operations soldiers is parachuted into Tonkin, northern Vietnam, to lead these efforts on the ground. Led by Major John Guthrie and his second-in-command, Captain Edward Parnell, experienced officers fresh from the fighting in Europe, the Office of Strategic Services, the good old OSS, team's mission is to work directly with Ho Chi Minh against the Japanese in the fierce contest for control of Indochina. Okay, both officers are well experienced in resistance operations from their earlier assignments in occupied France and Belgium. Nonetheless, they have to quickly adjust to the entirely different context of Vietnamese politics in order to encourage communist operations against the Japanese. Wow. The relationship that Guthrie and the rest of the OSS team develop with the Viet Minh leadership proves to be of distinct annoyance to French ambitions to regain control of their colony in Indochina. This is sounding very familiar to me. Who was that guy? Lansdale. I think Lansdale, I remember Edward Lansdale. He was one of the other books I read. Sorry about that. My hand hit the keyboard, and apparently that's all it takes to stop the camera. But anyway, the premise for this book kind of sounds familiar as far as the French getting the French getting pissed off at us for kind of getting in their way of colonizing Indochina. Anyway, it says here, based on the little-known true story of American and Viet Minh collaboration in 1945, this novel challenges the later accepted dogma of both those supporting and those opposing the American role in the Vietnam War. It notes how what is seen at a later time is often inadequate to understand what actually went on. Its contemporary relevance is simply a mirror of what is always the case in international affairs. Today's enemies can and may be tomorrow's friends. And most importantly, the reverse is true also. That sounds really good. This is, I like how it's kind of looking at that little known aspect of, how we're just trying to work against the Japanese. It's fantastic. Yeah, this makes me want to dig out my book on Edward Lansdale because it sounds something similar. How the French were just not pleased with our covert operations over there. So yeah, two awesome volumes of fiction. You guys, I'm a little bit fried, so I'm sorry that I'm not speaking as properly as I should. It's been a really long week and it's only Wednesday. But I missed you guys. I haven't made a video forever. Okay, so like the last video for this, or the last book. Oh my God. For this video is really dense. It's printed on thick, heavy, glossy paper. It is a heavy ass book. Wow. But it's going to be volume 1 in a projected, I don't know how many he's going to need to do this, but this is as detailed military history as you can get. So thank you again to Casemate for, look at this big book. Kursk, the planning and preparations, well, I should say the planning and preparations for the Battle of Kursk. Volume 1 by Valery Zamulin. Translated and edited by Stuart Britton. Okay, so you can just tell it's got that nice shiny glossy paper. Can you see that shine on the paper? Woo! Wow, let's read this. So this is translated. Okay, so this is going to be a 2-volume set. In the first book of a 2-volume set, Zamulin takes a close look at the condition of the German and Soviet forces following the Winter Campaign. Analyzing first the German side, the author demonstrates that the Germans were in a woeful condition, especially with respect to the number of serviceable armored vehicles and the lack of infantry. However, Hitler was determined to regain the initiative in the east, though some German commanders expressed concerns. Zamulin then looks at the German plans for the summer of 1943, in the process of rebuilding its forces. As he shows through data, the Germans struggled to replenish Army Group South and Model's Ninth Army in the north, and the latter was hampered almost right up to the launching of Operation Citadel by the need to conduct a major anti-partisan operation in woods and thickets in the German rear, with panzer and infantry divisions earmarked for Citadel. Zamulin next examines the Soviet side and discusses the planning for the summer campaign, including the decision to adopt a premeditated defense of the Kursk salient and to create a multi-echelon system of defense, though incomplete in depth. The author demonstrates that the Red Army was able quickly to replenish its forces and also create a large mobile reserve, the steppe front. Thus, the delay in launching Citadel was not the fatal German error, and it would have failed even if launched earlier. Okay. So they're saying even if they had launched Citadel on time, it still would have had the same results. This is very dense and very... Yeah, and when they say data, they mean data. This book is replete with it. I was looking through this when I first got it, and I was like, holy cannoli. Yeah, I'm intrigued to check this out. And of course, obviously, tons of great photos and maps and illustrations. This is a keeper. Ooh, color maps, too. Look at that. Ben, history fellow, what do you think? Are you down with this? I think you're down with this. Tons of colored maps in the center. Woo! So, volume 1 of Kursk, as seen from both the German and the Soviet Union side. Yeah. And actually, this is Helion. This one is printed by the Helion company, which, I think Casemate is a distributor. So, but thank you to Casemate for these fantastic books. Let me know below, guys, which ones are really stand out for you. Which ones... I can put on the docket. I still need to follow up with you in a couple of the books I mentioned last time before I hit this glut of massive amounts of book reviews that were due, and then it just took over my life. I've learned my lesson. Again, I'm not going to take on as many as I did last time, but so I need to report back to you on the Anglo-Soviet alliance, as well as a couple of others. And there's a couple that I'm wanting to start, and there's one from Lime Tree Press, the Fire Force, that I really need to get to. But God, there's so much good reading out there, you guys. I don't know what to do. But anyway, let me know what you think of these books. Hope you enjoyed the video. I will be back soon with another Casemate new history book titles, because they keep rolling off the press. So at some point I might have to do some giveaways too after I've read them, just because I can't contain them all. Anyway, I hope everyone is having a great Wednesday evening, and go Stafford, go Matt Stafford. You deserve a Super Bowl. But also go Detroit Lions. That's my team, even though I'm wearing this. It's just for Matt Stafford. I love him. All right, guys, that's the end of this video. Until next time, have a wonderful night and take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye.